Hi, and welcome to Screens in Focus podcast, where we share and connect as we spotlight our favorite shows and movies. I'm Diana, and today we're talking about Fear the Walking Dead, Season 7, Episode 9, and our recommendations on Outer Range, One Shot, Russian Doll, and more.
Oh.
Yeah. Hi, Margaret. How are you?
No, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Yay.
Yay.
It's Tuesday. This is on Monday.
Yeah, absolutely. Funny that you brought Tuesday up because it made me think of Monday and Manic Monday, and that's a song, which is segueing into our question of the day. So since this episode introduced Paul a new, temporary character.
A day player.
Yeah. A temporary character in Fear the Walking Dead. He's a deaf musician, and he talks about Beethoven. It had me Googling his music, Ode to Joy. But in getting to all of this, our question of the day is, what song or music makes you happy?
I like any music that really kind of has a good beat and I can dance to it. But I do like a lot of drums. I like heavy bass, like drums, not so crazy about guitar necessarily, but I love the sax and I love horns and the piano, but I really like the African drums, which have a huge total range, and you pound on those things. So I can't even imagine those people are stress-free probably, because that's where they take out all their anxiety is on those drums. But really, really, really cool. But I just like something that just is so kind of guttural, really basic. So, yeah.
I love that.
What do you like? Pop.
Well, I was going
I'm teasing you. Because you said Manic Monday.
I do like pop.
I know. I do too. So
I was going to 100% agree with you about anything that makes me move, right? If it gets me moving one way or another, I'm like, oh, I love this song. Or it makes me happy because it makes me want to dance, move, do whatever it is. But grouped together, I love Queen songs. They tend to make me really happy. But you know what song? It may have been a one-hit wonder, maybe not. A song that I really like to listen to is Come On, Eileen.
Oh, my God.
By the Dexy Midnight Runners, I think, or something like that.
Oh, my God.
That song, though, and I think what I like so much about it, yes, it's upbeat, but it changes in tempo. And I love that. And Queen tends to do that, too, in some of their songs like Bohemian Rhapsody and other songs. It changes tempo, and there's a lot of dynamics within the music. So
yeah, I agree, because I like the change. I mean, just anything that has lift and power and just like a coming together of everything, and you're moving voluntarily. It isn't a conscious movement either. For me, if I just start moving to stuff, my body's like doing its own little thing and I'm not even aware of it, So.
Yeah, I love that. That's what we need more of, music that makes us happy. So
I know.
Our friends out there listening, let us know what you think. What song or music makes you happy? You can leave us a comment on social media, our website, or email at screensinfocus@gmail.com. The links are in our show notes. Okay, so here we are. Fear the Walking Dead. Season 7, Episode 9, Follow Me. It's all about Alicia and her strange, vivid dreams, her sickness, and meeting Paul, who helps her discover what these dreams may be telling her. So, Margaret, what did you think of this episode?
Well, I really appreciate Fear the Walking Dead from when they first started to make it as the spinoff, because it was so different from The Walking Dead. And it introduced a whole bunch of new characters. It took it from a different angle and, West Coast, and then all their trials and tribulations. And then it did incorporate some of the characters from The Walking Dead, just probably to keep it moving or hopefully grab the audience. But I really liked the idea of getting back to Alicia, because we didn't really see her a lot in the last season. And we didn't know if she was alive or if she was dead. And then the last episode or something, last 2 episodes, she finally appeared and there she is. But now she's sick and all this other stuff. So this first episode was a little slow for me, but I think that's more because The Walking Dead has been so well done and so intense and just so moving forward with so many things. So this kind of had to be like a retro, let's get everybody back on the same page and reintroduce some things. I thought it was interesting that it was just her and this Paul character guy, and then the other guys came into play, partially through it. But it was more thoughtful. They didn't really explain a lot of stuff. I felt it was really open-ended in a lot of, just a lot of scenes and situations. It just didn't really conclude anything. But it also, there was no immediacy. There was no real weight put on any of the stuff that they kind of dropped. And you're like, well, so what? She's sweaty. I mean, of course she's got a fever, but, and she's dreaming weird because she's got a fever. And, the little girl, I mean, that was kind of the one interesting element that wasn't really explained and is just kind of dangling. But I thought it was just kind of was a little girl in the last season?
No.
So she was, to me, she's just like the carrot. I mean, why is she there now? It's just the Easter egg, just to drop, not an Easter egg, but, just to drop it in there for what purpose, we don't know. So I thought it was, it was okay. Was not the roller coaster that we'd just been on. So what about you? What did you think? Same or different?
Yeah, I think the same. I think that you are so right because of The Walking Dead and so much happening and fighting and just all kinds of things, action and people changing, evolving, redemption, all this stuff. And then we come to fear and we're like, okay, we saw Alicia, waging war with Strand. And so we're like, yes, it's coming on and we can't wait to see it. And so, yeah. And then all of a sudden we're like, oh, Alicia's on the road. She's having these dreams. And I think I kept waiting for it to pick up.
Yeah.
And while I really do like Alicia a lot, and she grew so much on the first half of the season. So, I'm appreciating seeing her further growth. And I think this episode, we needed to see where her headspace is and understand what was happening. And I think that's why this episode is there, to fill us in on where she's at and, how we're going to move forward with all the other characters. But this episode had me questioning time and reality. And at first I had a bit of trouble trying to figure out when this occurred, because I wasn't sure if she had already met up with Morgan or if this was an episode before she met up with Morgan. So that's where my confusion came in, because she never specifically said. She just said, I have to get back to my people. And I wasn't sure if she meant the people in that underground place or if she meant the people. So it took me a bit to figure out that we were in current time. Also, I had watched The Talking Dead, and Alicia Debham Carey really helped me to understand the purpose of this episode, because Alicia has always followed her mother, her brother, Morgan, and now she is, grown into her own person and figuring out her own voice. And so hearing her say that, and I rewatched the episode, it made so much more sense watching this episode. And then her being sick. I really want to know what is going on with that, because I thought to myself, is it from the bite of the walkers? Is that what's happening? Is it the radiation? Is it something else? I like that they're kind of keeping it a mystery, because it makes us wonder why it's happening. And also, like you said, the little girl, I wondered, is the little girl her trying to guide her? Who's this person? And is she real? I kept thinking, she almost looked like Little Red Riding.
Well, she's got her little suit on, right?
Yeah, but she looked tiny. I'm like, is this a small person or is this a little girl?
Oh,
I couldn't really tell.
No, I thought it was her. I mean, and it's her own
Alicia, right?
Projection.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what I thought when I saw it, because she kept reappearing and who are you? And it just was it was very ethereal, the whole way that they shot it with the lighting and everything. So I just assumed it was her. And I have to agree with you about her with the following of somebody always being told what to do. I thought, she's doing this mission, which is something that her mother was on, that she's just trying to hold up and continue working toward, because that's just what she thinks her purpose is. So I think that she was a young lady when she started doing this show, a teenager, and now she's in her, I think in real life, in her mid-20s. And, it's, for me, it's kind of the development of her character. She's always had something to lean on and somebody to lean on. And when her mother died, and then her brother died, and then her mother died, and then all these other people leave her, and then they turn into people that she doesn't even know anymore, and, as far as Strand and all that. So I've just thought that she's going to develop her own sense of self throughout this season, most likely, and really determine what is important to her to try to strive to achieve, I think, instead of but now they're going to bring her mother back. So it's going to switch it up
too.
So maybe they'll have a conflict or something. I don't know. Because it's a good, honorable mission. It's a good goal, but she's just going through the motions because she thinks she's supposed to. She's like a wind up doll,
Yeah. All right. What else did you think about this episode?
I enjoyed the Paul for what he was, and what he brought to it. I just didn't really feel like they had a tight, deep connection. But when they met, when they went to go find the receiver, that she broke, in the house, trying to get his attention when the walker was going to eat him or bite him. I thought that was I liked the setting and just the whole purpose of that. But it's such a simple thing, though, means so much to these people. You really have to, it's hard to, I guess, relate to that, because simple pleasures, right, are the best, because we're such a society of excess. And if we want something, we just go buy it on credit, So it was really interesting, but I think they could have played that up a little bit more just to give it more meaning, because I feel like it was a little empty. That's all.
I liked their conversation in the car after Arno arrived and Paul shot him, and then he was trying to get that receiver into the car, and Alicia pulls him in. But what stuck out to me in that time with them together was I felt like they really focused on the trauma that they both have had or are having. And it made me think about all of our Walking Dead characters in both shows and all the trauma they go through, because we just sit down on our couch, we watch them, we're like, oh yeah, they're in an apocalypse. But really, they're in an apocalypse. They are in this, and they face things constantly, loss. And so I thought to myself, wow, Paul lost his wife, and he's trying to drown out the last thing he heard, which was her scream.
Right.
And then with Alicia, she's probably not sleeping, because every time she goes to sleep, she hears this voice, this dream about, follow me. And she thinks it's that Senator Vargas guy.
Yeah. And
she's trying to figure it out. So she probably doesn't want to go to sleep, which is bad, because if you don't sleep,
you hallucinate.
Yeah, you start hallucinating. Yeah. So, it just, I found it very interesting that they're showing both these characters struggling with their life in this apocalypse, which is everybody, even Arno, even though we don't like him, he's definitely one of the villains, although not one of the big main villains, but just kind of a thorn in Alicia's side. But even I'm thinking to myself, okay, so he's bringing around these walkers that happen to be people he lived with and cared about. That's weird in itself. And he's trying to bring them to show her, look what you did to these people. Well, I don't know. So everybody's living with weird.
Yeah. But maybe that's the whole thing. It's because they've all been radiated too, right? So you're not totally in the right mind probably. But I'm sure that he had such an attachment to those people that was his family. And they've had other people on these episodes where they've kept their families locked in a room, even though they've turned, and they throw whatever in there not that they need to throw anything in there, because apparently they don't die from starvation, they just keep going. They just start rotting. They become pieces.
Exactly.
So
totally.
But people keep their families even though they've turned. So that might be the same thing they were trying to represent with him having everybody in a cage. I mean, aside from finding her and then having them eat her or chew on her, as her punishment.
that's what I'm saying. This has affected even Arno, right? So everybody in this episode, or these three people in this episode, all have some sort of trauma that they're trying to deal with.
Yeah.
Some way, one way or another. And so it just kind of jumped out at me as I was watching this, that I, saw how that is related to each of them in their own world. Mm-hmm. But I did like that, that Paul tells her, look, you weren't holding a gun to these people and their heads. You weren't forcing them to follow you. You believed you were taking them to a good place. And I love that he's just trying to ease her mind, not feel the guilt that she does. And then he's saying, hey, maybe we can help each other. Maybe I'll go with you, which I thought was kind of cool. I thought, oh, a new character. Cool.
Yeah.
But that was short-lived. But I just really think that he was instrumental. Being a musician. I think he was. I think he was instrumental in helping her realize and to believe in herself and to and that she is capable. I think he came to his own realization too, and that's why he ended up picking up that bagpipe toward the end. So it was nice. It was good to see this relationship. And then you see how a character is, influences another character. And what I just realized? Okay, a correlation here. Every time a new character comes on a premiere, they end up dying. That happened with Morgan on each premiere. They introduce a character and then that character dies in that premiere.
Wow.
And they've been really good at it. It was Morgan needing to... Yeah, that formula. So it just dawned on me.
But you know what? So, okay, you point out that he helps her realize, but my whole thing is, why does she need somebody to help her realize? Why can't she find that in herself? And I think that's kind of the vacuous world that she's living in, because she needs somebody to validate her and point her in the right direction. So is this kind of like sexist? I mean,
no, I think that happens a lot to everybody. People are living their lives, and sometimes somebody has to point something out to you for you to realize it. That just happens because you're so busy with everything that you're doing. And then someone says something and you're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Also, she has feels guilt. And so he's trying to help her out of that guilt. Just like he could have realized about himself, but it took her being there for him to realize that he needed to move on too.
Yeah,
so it just could have been
like denial, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we all know what we're supposed to do. It's whether or not we get around to it. So
yeah. All right. What other thoughts or tidbits did you have on this episode?
I really, again, I liked some of the framing of the shots. I liked the lighting. I liked how that helped to set the scene and kind of communicate the feeling or the situation. So I think that they're evolving and trying to create more of an artistic visual versus just straight up. But that might have been how this had been shot all along. And I'm just, after watching Walking Dead, which was more in your face with some of these things, they didn't really develop the scene as far as visually, making it pretty or making it aesthetically interesting, and the camera angles, like all that close-up dead stuff, which in Walking Dead. So now with this, I mean, I think it's more of a beauty shot kind of situation. Just in the house was incredible. The outside of the house was incredible. The visuals with those people in that big cage on the back of the truck was crazy. Just little pieces, just all the little intricate details that they have to pay attention to make sure it all fits and makes sense. Her inside the piano with her just peering out through that little crack. That was pretty cool too.
Yeah. I wanted to bring up that it was really good to see Morgan. I was so happy. And
is he in that? But is he in the submarine or whatever that thing is? Is he in that?
Yeah,
okay.
Yes, still the submarine. Okay. Yeah. Yes. It helped me with the whole timeline. I'm like, yes, this is where we're at. It helped me catch up. I just really appreciated seeing him. But throughout the episode, like, why didn't the walkers try and get into the car when Alicia and Paul were in there? Yeah. Normally, walkers are trying to get you.
Yeah.
Like how on The Walking Dead, remember how I was saying how Judith and the other little gal were in the basement. I'm like, how do the walkers know that they're in there? And that's far away. And here it's a car.
Yep.
They see them getting in the car.
Yep.
And yet the walkers aren't banging on the door trying to get in.
Yeah.
And when Paul was first introduced, a walker had come in through the door so easily. And
well, is that because it was left open?
He said the lock must have jiggled open or not closed. I'm like, really? Come on.
See?
It's been a really long time in the apocalypse. And the fact that he had his back turned, I'm thinking, okay, you can't hear. Why would you ever have your back turned to anything? I would always be sitting facing out instead of having my back to anybody.
Well, piano's kind of having a move. He was at the piano, right?
I thought he was was he? I don't even know. Maybe
I don't know, but I don't know.
And then when he was blaring the music and told Alicia to wear those earplugs, and when Arno was there and he opens the door and he has this little pistol, I'm like, as soon as the music started blaring and the Arno and his group started, running out, why wouldn't you close the door so no walkers would come into your house? This is your home.
Yeah.
But, they just kept coming in. And I just did not like their actions when it came to the walkers. I'm like, You've been living in this apocalyptic world. It's not like you are people from like the Commonwealth on The Walking Dead that you're totally oblivious. You know what it's like to live in here. So I just felt like they weren't.
They dropped the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree with you.
In this case.
Totally.
But I really liked Paul, that he is a non-hearing person, and that they introduced him just like Connie on The Walking Dead. Mm-hmm. I think it's cool that they're bringing other characters in.
But they're killing them at the same time.
I know. well, not Connie, but this guy. Yeah.
You know what though? I mean, that was all in the distance. How many people have come back from the dead, right?
Yeah.
So
you're absolutely right.
I mean,
anything is possible.
Well, but especially that Arno guy. I mean, he really should have been dead, because I thought he was shot and those walkers were all over the place. Why didn't he, he came out unscathed, which really didn't make any sense to me.
No, it didn't, because that one walker got him on the back, was coming up on his backside and didn't bite him. Yeah. I also appreciated the Alicia's dream. So at the beginning, it was those survivors at the time they were following her, and she thinks she sees Vargas, Senator Vargas. Yeah. But then at the end, when she's running up, and it's actually her, of course you could tell it's her, but she's running up to herself, and the people behind her are all Fear the Walking Dead characters. So I thought that was cool how her dream transitioned. Yeah. From the old group to the new group. And so I thought that was a cool way to end her dream sequence like that. Oh, and the end with Arno and his buddy, how they're standing there at the crater with all that place full of walkers, which we've seen before. We've seen that on The Walking Dead.
Well, that whole idea, yeah.
Yes.
But that's supposed to be where the bomb went off. And so all those people are radiated people from what I gleaned. So
yeah, I think you might be right. And I just wonder what's going to happen with them. I mean, they made a point to show it to us. So
yeah.
Well, we'll come to find out what they're about. Okay, Margaret, we are at our segment and the award goes to. So what was your favorite character, quote, or moment?
I really liked, again, I already said it, but I really liked the concert hall scene, because I felt like that was the only time that they really connected, because they were beyond him saving her and her eating haggis and, come with me, I'm not going to come with you, that kind of thing. So they started to talk about their situation. So I thought that was a really interesting moment or period until it was broken up. But I just, they connected there. So I thought it was good. That was the one shining moment. I mean, there were a lot of little things but this was the meaningful thing, because you saw the shift in her, and in him, really. Mm-hmm. So, How about you? What did you think? Or who did you like? Morgan?
Yeah, well, I was going to say, yeah, when Morgan's voice, when I heard Morgan's voice, man, I was so relieved. I felt like I knew this was reality in their world, of course, but I mean, I knew what was going on. I knew what time we were at. It was a sense of assuredness for me, and I knew Alicia was safe for the moment, and it was familiar to me. And I really think that Alicia and Morgan make a really good team. I like them together and how they work together. And of course, as we talked about, Alicia's realization of following her own voice. And that's when she verbalizes it to Morgan. And then he says something so like, you're going to be Padre. And she says, I'm going to give the people what they want, a safe place. So they're going to build their army. Oh, and she does tell him, look, Arno's not joining us. So we're going to build our army. We're going to take the tower. And she tells Morgan, be ready. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
We're going to be ready. Any last parting thoughts on Fear the Walking Dead?
I wish they had more characters in there. I really liked the interaction between all the characters, not just focusing on one. But I guess because we hadn't been watching her, that's why, or seeing her in action and through some of this, confusion that she's been in, or her dilemma, that they needed to show that in order to move the story forward. So it'll be interesting to see where it goes to from here. Yeah. Because it was pretty intense, without her, it was pretty intense, trying to storm that place.
I see that a new character is coming on, and I believe it'll be a love interest. So it'll be interesting to see.
For whom?
Charlie. Anyways, a new character's coming on. I cannot wait. Supposed to be a love interest, so
you would love.
And me and love, but also I love new characters because I think this person, who's to say?
Well, I hope they
short-lived too.
I hope they can add value. That's for sure.
Yeah. So where did they find him? Does he know people? I don't know. We'll find out, but it'll be cool. I'm excited. So I think the next episode will have more people involved.
Oh, yeah, totally. So, yeah. We'll Alicia will be gone for another 2 weeks, and then we'll get back to the original group. Because she's out there wandering. Where am I going? Oh, my God.
All right. Okay. That wraps up our conversation on Fear the Walking Dead. Tell me, Margaret, what else are you currently watching?
Well, weekends in my house are what is on TV today? What can I find that looks interesting that will hold my interest? And I was watching Netflix. So I saw Russian Doll, that preview, and it's from 2019, and it is a Netflix show, and it's got the redhead that was on Orange is the New Black. I can't remember what her character name is there, but her real name is Natasha Lyonne. And she is the main character. She wrote it with another lady, Leslie Headland, and actually Amy Poehler is in there too. And Amy Poehler is a producer as well. And so it's going to have some comic or comedy, a huge comic, probably dark comedy element. And what it is about a girl who is at her 35th birthday, I think. And you learn a little bit about her history because her mother died young. So she's like, I made it past where, my mom lived. But it starts out with her at a party in the bathroom, looking, checking her makeup, whatever, at a friend's house or loft. And the friend threw the party. And then, it's this whole New York grunge crowd. Everybody's into drugs and drinking and just doing whatever. And it's a combination of, all different types of people. But she ends up running into the street and getting hit by a car. So she lost her cat. So she sees her cat across the street in the park, runs after it, gets hit by a cab, boom, dead. Flash forward, wakes up. There she is looking at herself in the same mirror. So replay. So it's almost like Groundhog Day. So it looked really interesting. That was like the clip. So it looked really interesting. So I got into it, started watching it. They're only 24 minutes a pop. And I found it really interesting the first couple episodes because she dies differently, because she changes. She realizes after she dies a couple of times and she starts changing up what she does to change the outcome. So then she starts dying differently. It got really good. And so now there's this whole second season that's coming out. So it'll be interesting to see how because they resolved everything last season. So it'll be interesting to see what happens now. But next for this particular character. So then the other thing was I had to get a movie, because I like watching movies, and I had to get something that I hadn't seen. But I found one which is called One Shot, which was done in 2021. It was on Hulu, or is on Hulu, and it stars Scott Adkins, Ashley Greene Corey, and Ryan Phillippe. So he's the only name in there. But it's starts out, it's like 5 Navy SEALs and this woman in a helicopter, and they're flying over to one of the islands where they're keeping all the terrorists, or the people they suspect of being terrorists. She's got to grab one of the guys that they just picked up in London, and they ran him over here. And, she's very cagey about why she's doing this. And she's just an analyst, so she says, but she's got these SEALs. And it's like one thing after another. And then the whole walled prison is compromised by the terrorists trying to get the same guy. So it's just a showdown. So it's guns and death and blood and guts and, all this stuff. So it really was an action-packed, war type movie. I mean, it was hand-to-hand combat. So it was pretty interesting. It was pretty well done, actually, I thought. Interesting story. So
cool.
Then I have one more thing, which I found yesterday, and it has Meryl Streep in it, and it's done by Steven Soderbergh, called The Laundromat. And it's based on true events, and the events are just being scammed all the way through. The American public is being scammed, and shell companies are being formed, and it's, the insurance companies, it's, the banks, it's, bad real estate. It's just all this stuff, and people are losing their money. Just a common guy. And this woman, Meryl Streep, plays, her husband is killed in an accident on Lake George. It's just this big political mess. Well, a whole bunch of new laws came out and regulations because of this particular case, because there was a whistleblower who exposes everything. So it's a really hard movie to follow, because it's these two guys, and the two guys are commentating throughout the whole thing, and it's Antonio Banderas and Gary Oldman. So they're the two key people at this shell company. So they're commenting through the whole thing about how they get away with all this, and then you flash to the story. So it's an interesting movie, but it's very political. It's Soderbergh, so of course it's going to be something, political. But but it's just about corruption and how we get screwed all the time, and we're not protected by anything or anybody, and opportunists just take advantage. So what are you watching?
So I started watching Outer Range, which is on Prime Video, and it's Josh Brolin plays Royal Abbott, who is a Wyoming rancher, and his family tends to the ranch that has been in his wife's family for over 100 years. And so the Abbotts are dealing with a missing daughter-in-law, and they have this dispute with the neighbors, the Tillersons. And it's about property lines, and the tensions mount, and someone gets killed. And Royal is dealing with that, and he finds this big, huge void on his ranch. I mean, an actual void, like
a sunken or a hidden space.
Yeah, dimensions or something. He throws things in there, and they.
Like a black hole almost. Oh, okay.
Like a black hole, exactly.
So it's kind of sci-fi-y.
Yeah. I only seen 2 episodes, but the end of the second episode, you're like, what the heck is happening? So it's very interesting. A lot of supernatural stuff is happening.
Wow.
And it makes me want to keep watching. So that is what is on Prime Video right now.
That sounds interesting.
And so I actually also finished Yellowstone season 4 because it's on Peacock. You know, Kevin Costner's the patriarch of the Dutton family, and there's so much happening. And I don't want to give anything away for people that haven't watched it yet, but I would say go watch it. It's really well done.
Do you think you need to see the first 3 seasons to understand season 4? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I think so. Yes, because you have to see all the relationships and where everything has come. So yes, for Yellowstone, you would need to see the others, and why would you want to miss it? They're all good. So you need to watch it. But it's basically 3 siblings, right? He has 3 kids, and one of the hands is Jimmy. And I really like his storyline. But I also found out that there's going to be a spinoff. And he's supposed to be in that spinoff. So that'll be interesting when that comes out. But I also, I like where the 3 siblings, everything that is happening between them.
But are they siblings?
Well, you'll have to tune in to see. But I also just read that I guess because of the television series, like $70 million has been thrusted into Montana because of jobs.
Growth? Oh.
Yeah, growth. Yeah.
Wow.
I also finished Servant on Apple TV.
Oh.
This is that M. Night Shyamalan, and it finished season 3. And it's basically, again, not trying to give anything away, but just so people know, it's a Philadelphia couple, Dorothy and Sean, who tragically lose their child. But Dorothy comes to believe that their reborn doll is real.
Reborn doll? What's a reborn doll?
A reborn doll is when they give you like this lifelike doll because she was having such...
just to help her through the trauma?
To help her through the trauma, but then she starts to believe this doll is real. So she hires a nanny. Okay, this is all in the first season, okay? In the first couple episodes. She hires a nanny. When the nanny starts working there, guess what? The baby becomes real. And
really
then
real or just to the wife?
No, really real.
Mommy?
No, to everybody.
How
to everybody.
Weird. How weird.
So then the husband and the brother, who is Rupert Grint, who plays Ron in Harry Potter. He plays Dorothy's brother. So the brother and the husband are like, what the hell just happened? Because they were going along with trying to help the wife. And then now the baby exists now and they're playing along. And so it's just very interesting because this young nanny, Leanne, has brought strange, frightening happenings, but she does really care for the family and she's usually protecting them. So things happen to other people that get in the way,
is this reborn baby doll thing? Is Leanne pregnant and it's her baby?
It could be.
I mean, does she bring her baby?
That's what they speculate, but then I don't think it's her own baby. We don't know where this baby came from. That's the whole thing.
Okay.
And the whole thing, all the episodes, you're always guessing. It never resolves in a good way. Yeah. Because it keeps you hanging and we want to know what's happening. It's really well done. And I really do like it. And I like that nothing ever gets resolved. You really don't get any clear answers. You might get a clear answer to one specific scene or what's happening, but you still don't know. You still don't know Leanne and what power she has. You still don't know who this baby really belongs to. You really don't know if this baby's a doll, a living, her baby, somebody else's baby. Don't know, but it's good. Tune in, Servant, Apple TV.
I'll have to check it out.
Oh, yeah. And you got Apple TV, so you could easily do that.
I do.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining me today in talking about Fear the Walking Dead and your recommendations.
Oh, you're welcome. It was my pleasure.
I love that. All right. That's our show. Thanks for tuning in. We are grateful you tuned in, and we hope something we said today resonated with you, gave you a chuckle, some happiness, some positivity, or inspiration. Please subscribe to our website and follow Screens in Focus and tell a friend. We would love more members of our TV club. You can rate and review the podcast on Apple, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcasts. This helps other listeners find us. We'll be releasing a new episode next week. Next show will be on Fear the Walking Dead, Season 7, Episode 10. You can find our website listed in our show notes. See you next time. Bye.
Bye.